I was watching some of my older videos the other day and I noticed that there was a period in this channel where I focused mostly on the comparison of weapons. So I made sword versus mace, axe versus spear, etc. But I noticed that I never really made a video dedicated on katana versus Yari, and this is such an interesting topic that I decided, you know what, let's make it right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking and I own both a Yari and a katana. So I'm going to make this video tackling it in the following way. It's going to be divided into three sections that are going to represent three specific scenarios in which we need to decide whether the Yari or the katana will be the best weapon, because it very much depends on the scenario. You do not have one absolute weapon that is superior to the other. It really depends on where you are. Scenario number one is going to be a battlefield. So you are in combat, surrounded by your army, the opponent army, arrows flying around. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is going to be a dueling situation, duel of honor. Someone challenged you and said to you, tomorrow morning you will come here, we're going to have a duel to death. Bring either a Yari or a katana. And then thirdly, and if you don't mind me saying so, this is going to be the most interesting section, we're going to talk about personal defense in feudal Japan. So if you were a samurai who wasn't engaged in combat, who wasn't in a battle, but you were just going to visit a friend or perhaps traveling a little bit or going to the market to buy something, and if you were ambushed, attacked, what weapon would you wield? Now, before diving into the next section of the video, I'd like to mention the sponsor who made this video possible. And guys, this time, this is such a good game. I'm really thrilled and excited about this, so please take a moment because it's really worth it. You're gonna love it. Now, as you know, I'm a boy from the 90s, and one manga we used to read, all of my friends, was Saint Seiya, so the Knights of Zodiac. And they recently released, on the 10th of this month, a new video game, Saint Seiya Awakening Knights of the Zodiac. And it's good. I really like the graphics approach of this game. It's got its own high-definition 3D graphics, so it looks good during battle and whatnot, but then you also have cutscenes, and they look more like an anime. And I really like that. You will find all the characters that we fell in love with, because this was such an epic manga. It's got the music from the original anime, and it's a fully licensed product from Kurumada Masami, the creator of the series. This is a strategy role-playing game. The way the game is structured is that it allows the players to make strategic decisions on different skills, utilizing an array of characters. Through this game you can experience the original story of Saint Seiya. As a bonus for you noble ones, you can get for free a $10 value pack, 5 R gems, 5 common gems and 100 diamond, using my unique code. Also very important to say, noble ones, if you like my content, please keep in mind that if you do use the link in the description below to download and play this game, you will be actively supporting my channel and the production of content on this channel. The first 100 new players can claim their bonus, so do it today. Alright, so starting with a battlefield situation, what would be the best option? Lots of other channels have also talked about this, say Lindbergh, Scholar Gladiatoria. The spear is the superior weapon, hands down, for three reasons mainly. First and foremost, range advantage. You can hit and hurt and arm your opponent without being in range of shorter weapons, and that is a very, very important thing in combat. Also considering the fact that on a battlefield you've got loads of space and you can use weapons that allow you to have a range advantage. Secondly, it's a lot easier to train an effective spearman than it is to train an effective swordsman. It takes a lot less time, and generally speaking, a average spearman, even without much training, is going to be better than a medium to highly trained swordsman. You need to be extremely well trained as a swordsman to take out a spearman. So it can happen, but generally speaking, it is a lot cheaper and easier to make effective fighters out of spearmen than it is out of swordsmen. And thirdly is the kind of attack. Spears, and the Yari as well, is generally designed for thrusting. You can cut, but it is a thrusting weapon, specialized thrusting weapon. And a thrust, well, considering the fact that you can redirect very easily the tip of your Yari when you attack, a thrust is very quick and it's very difficult to predict and hence to defend from a thrust. So it is a overall more effective weapon. Now, those of you who watch these other channels that I've mentioned in the Community of the Sword already know all of this, but what about history? What does for example, Sengoku Jidai tells us about this? Ashigaru, so light infantry, and generally speaking samurai, were all equipped with pole weapons. Yes, they also had swords, but they were backup weapons, meaning that you use your Yari, you keep keep your enemy at bay, and only if you lose your Yari, then you resort to swords. So a good way to imagine this is the following, to sort of prove this point. If you were a general, okay, in Japanese Sengoku Jidai, so you are fielding an army, and you field an entire army of Ashigaru and samurai, foot soldiers mainly in this case, let's say the samurai are not mounted for whatever reason, which it does happen in the late Sengoku Jidai anyways, and you field them all with katana, because you're confident that that's the weapon you want. And let's say that your opposing clan instead fields the exact number of people, and we can even say with the exact same kind of training, however, they are all using spears. Well, let me tell you, you have lost. Hands down, there's nothing you can do about it unless you put gunpowder into the equation. You're not going to win. They are going to be a lot more effective, and most likely, even though you might have a few very skilled swordsmen, the majority of the people that fight in these battles are not going to be extremely high trained individuals, which actually means that the spearmen are going to get a lot more kills than the swordsmen, and most likely lots of swordsmen won't even get in range. So an army of katana wielders against an army of Yari wielders is doomed to failure. They fielded armies of spearmen. Okay, what about a duel instead? So you have been, your honor has been attacked, and someone says, hey, you need to fight me tomorrow morning at dawn in front of these witnesses. You choose your weapon. Well, would I, if I were in that situation, choose a katana? Would I choose a Yari? I think it depends, because of course in a battlefield situation you are wearing armor and your opponent is wearing armor. Now the quality of the said armor or how much is going to cover you depends on whether we are talking samurai versus Ashigaru, rich samurai versus poor Ashigaru, and vice versa. There are a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration, but generally speaking, on a battlefield we're all wearing armor. But in a duel situation, well, knowing if the opponent is wearing armor, if I'm wearing armor or not, is going to make a sort of dictate this choice. So, if we were both wearing armor, I would choose a Yari. It doesn't matter what he's going to choose, because it's very similar to a battlefield situation. If we are both not wearing armor, again, I would go for a Yari, because if he's using a Yari and I choose a katana, I'm going to be in trouble. And if I choose a Yari and he's choosing a Yari, we're going to have it's just a skill situation then. And if I have a Yari and he's got a katana, I've got an advantage. So the only case in which I would maybe prefer a katana over a Yari is if I am fully armored and he is not. So in that case scenario, even if he's using a Yari and he's got a range advantage, well, what I would normally do against a polearm wielder, if I were the guy who's using a katana or a sword in general, is that I would try to get a hold of his weapon, of the shaft of his weapon. Now clearly that is easier said than done, because again, as I said before, thrusts are very quick and difficult to predict, and that's why I say if I am using a katana and he's using a Yari and I'm not wearing any armor, well, I'm gonna get a few thrusts in my body before I can manage to get a hold of the weapon or the shaft of the weapon, so that's going to be suicidal. But if I'm wearing armor, I can take a few thrusts and most likely he's not going to go through. It could happen given that he finds a gap in my armor and he kills me anyways, but it is a lot harder. I'm tougher now, he needs to be more precise, so he might not be as quick with his thrusts. So even if I take a few thrusts onto my body, my armor absorbs those, it might give me a higher chance to actually get a hold of his weapon, and once that happens, then there are only two choices that he can make. He either leaves the weapon, which means he's got to run away now, because the only weapon he's got, this is a duel, we only had to choose one weapon, so he has got no weapon now, and I can literally hack him down now, so he's got to run away, I won. Or secondly, he holds onto the Yari, we start struggling of course, and that gives me enough time to hack him down with my katana. So that's why if I were the guy in armor and he's got no armor, I would choose a katana rather than a spear in that case. Given you can say, but why don't you just take the spear as well? Because the best way to beat a spearman is to manage to close in, and the armor allows me to close in, and when we are in very close range, then I do want a shorter weapon, because it's going to be easier now for me. If I had a Yari now and I got closer, it would be a bit difficult to get the job done. So that's the only scenario in which I would rather choose a katana in a duel. But what about self-defense? Now this is probably the most interesting scenario, because we oftentimes think and imagine battlefield situations where you have samurai wearing full armor, getting ready to fight, using all the weapons that they can. But in a town scenario, differently from video games, samurai didn't just walk around wearing their full battle gear. They didn't go around wearing full armor unless there was some kind of ceremony or some kind of show where they could show off how wealthy they were wearing their armor. But generally speaking, on everyday life, if you were a samurai, you were waking up in the morning and you wanted to walk around, you know, breathe in some nice air, perhaps go visit a friend, you wouldn't go there wearing your full battlefield armor. Even if you were samurai, and even if you owned a very expensive and effective suit of armor, you won't be wearing it if you were to be attacked in the streets by bandits or criminals and whatnot. And the same goes for battlefield specific weapons. So a Yari, a naginata, these are not things you can wear. Okay, in video games we often see that, you know, even if we select these kind of massive battlefield weapons, you know, people just put them on the back and walk around, and then if they get attacked, they just take it from the back. But that's because there is a sort of magnetic situation there happening. You just put the weapon on the back and it just sticks there magically and you take it immediately. Yes, they did wear massive nodachi on the back, but that's because they were transporting them. And when you are transporting a weapon that is securely placed on your back and it's big, you can't draw it from it. If it's a nodachi, no chance in heaven. If they were attacked, they would have used other weapons like the katana, the wakizashi and whatnot, the tanto. So if a yari is securely placed on your back, you cannot take it in a situation where they attack you. You can't use it. So how do you transport a yari? You just carry it, because again, it's a battlefield weapon, and on the battlefield you don't really need to wear the weapon. Yes, they did wear swords because they're easy to wear, but then again because they're backup weapons. But the weapons, the main battlefield weapons, you carry in your hands. There is no point, there is no chance in a samurai who's just walking around town, going to the market, going to visit a friend, walking around with a yari. It's just not going to happen. You're going to hit stuff, it's going to be impractical, it's going to be encumbering, and different from video games where we literally seek for combat. So in a video game, you generally speaking every day kill between 15 to 30 people and in order to gain loot, but that's not how real warriors did their business, lived their lives. For a real warrior, all the killing mostly happened on the battlefield, but generally speaking, you didn't go around seeking for people to kill. So in your everyday life, during a moment of peace, you wouldn't be having fighting, and if it did happen that you were attacked, you weren't really expecting it to happen. So you wouldn't go around wearing armor, and you wouldn't go around wielding a yari, being ready for combat at all times. And the reason for that is because it would inhibit your ability to live your life, and the majority of your life will be spent not in combat. Think about it, the so-called protagonists and heroes of video games are kleptomaniac mass murderers. You steal everything just because, and if anyone opposes you, you kill them. That's why a katana is a much better catch for self-defense, a much better weapon, because it can be worn. You can easily go around your daily activities wearing your katana. And let's say that you're going to the market, the local street market, because you think, hey, I heard that they sell some really good fresh fruit and that's what I feel like today. I could use some food. So you go to the market and you're looking around and you're talking with this guy who's presenting all these new apples and grape and whatnot. And at one point there is this guy, and this guy, he has got a grudge against the samurai class for whatever personal reason. Maybe something happened in the past, and when he looks at you and he sees you smiling and getting all this fresh fruit, it just rubs him wrong. So he takes a knife and runs towards you and he wants to kill you. But you're a good samurai, you have been trained and you are always aware of your surroundings. Maybe not all samurai were like this, but you're a good one. So you can immediately see, with the side of your eyes, you can see something, a threat is coming, and your muscle memory kicks in. You draw your sword, you cut him down, you kill him. You effectively defend yourself. This is why the katana is the better choice in this case, because even if you had a yari, there are a lot of people around. You might not have had a chance to even take the weapon and use it properly, and never mind a bow in that situation. Yaido and techniques, yaijutsu, the idea of drawing and attacking at the same time, because it was a weapon that was very effective and was the best choice for self-defense. And if we take this a step forward, and let's say you were inside the house of a friend, most of the times you would have given up your katana, because again, otherwise you're walking around with a katana, you start hitting stuff and breaking vases, but you would keep the wakizashi or the tanto. You would always keep a weapon on you, so it gets shorter the smaller the place in which you are will be. So again, this is one of those scenarios that if you get attacked inside the home of someone by a thief, then again a katana or even a wakizashi might be a much better choice, because you can't operate a big weapon in a smaller environment. So in conclusion, there isn't one superior weapon over another. It very much depends on the situations in which you find yourself, or as my friend Matt Easton likes to say, the context. There will be situations in which I will prefer a wakizashi, there will be situations in which I will prefer a katana, and there will be, of course, situations where I will prefer a yari. Alright, but let me know what you think. What weapon would you choose in any of these scenarios yourself? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you liked this older style video, and if you did, please remember thumbs up, and if you're yet not a member of this community, become a noble one and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. Don't forget to download the game Saint Seiya Awakening from my link in the description below. It will help my channel. If quite a few of you do that, I might be able to buy, for example, a Naginata or a Nagamaki, more weapons that I could use and compare on this channel. So if you like comparative videos, keep that into consideration. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.